We have Karan Johar in the house. So, joining us today at the Bharat Pavilion at the Cannes Film Festival, we have two powerhouse filmmakers representing two distinct yet deeply resonant voices of Indian cinema. First, we have Karan Johar, a celebrated director, producer, and cultural icon known for redefining mainstream cinema. Yes, and here the two friends meet. And we have Neeraj Ghaywan, a national award winning filmmaker, acclaimed for his rooted, socially conscious narratives. And together, they represent the evolving spectrum of Indian storytelling on the global stage. Please welcome our two powerhouse filmmakers, Karan Johar and Neeraj Ghaywan, on the stage. Hello, sir. I'm fine.
Hi, everyone. Good.
And if you want to introduce Karan Johar, and he just said, just Google me. So, as I said, we have two filmmakers. They both are powerhouse producers, directors, and they represent two distinct yet deeply resonant voices of Indian cinema. And together, they represent the evolving spectrum of Indian storytelling on the global stage. So, welcome to Bharat Pavilion one more time. To start this session at Bharat Pavilion, first, I would like to say welcome both of you to Bharat Pavilion at the Cannes Film Festival. First, what does it mean, each of you, to represent Indian cinema at this one of the biggest cinematic stage, one of the most prestigious film festivals? To start with, Karan.
Neeraj, please take
Neeraj,
that. I'd love
okay.
for you to start.
I mean, for me, it started here,
Hmm.
2015. Melita was here. She was my producer on that
Hmm.
film, and here we're back again with her. But it means a lot because, like, it always feels like a patriotic act to finally do a film which goes to such a prestigious film festival and then be lauded. Uh, Last time thing that I hope something similar happens because we got so much applause, so much of praise, and then we released it in India, and it also released in many countries. So of course it feels very great. You see a room full of Indians here in the middle of Cannes. It just feels your heart fills with pride.
You made history with the very first film at the Cannes Film Festival. Karan, you keep coming back to Cannes, lately. You're coming back to Cannes, you're promoting, you're supporting those films which making India proud and making history at the international film stage. Right now, you're again back to Cannes. What does it mean to you, represent Indian cinema?
I have actually a lot of emotional memories related to Cannes. I remember in the year 2002, where my father and I were here at the Cannes market. And I still remember he struck a deal, which I thought at that time, like it really was quite. And I told him, I said, this seems like it's really not of any consequence. Because I remember he sold the European rights of Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum for $5,000. And at that time, I was like, $5,000, isn't that a very little? And he said, look, it's a start. We have to see. And unfortunately, he wasn't alive to see the massive impact that our cinema that began from Kabhi Khushi went on to all of Shah Rukh Khan's movies and created such a huge cultural movement for our cinema in Europe. And I remember it began in the year 2002. It was also the year that Devdas had a beautiful screening, and Aishwarya and Shah Rukh were on the red carpet. And Aishwarya, of course, is like literally the queen of Cannes. Like every time she's here, she creates such a huge amount of media energy and excitement. And she's here again. So it's just wonderful that I remember that so clearly. And then I came back in the capacity of a filmmaker when we got selected in the Director's Fortnight in 2013 for the anthology Bombay Talkies with Anurag Kashyap, Zoya Akhtar, Divakar Banerjee, and myself. And it was that particular year that I met Guneet Monga, and I saw Lunchbox, which was actually doing so phenomenally and getting so much love. And I decided to present the film in Hindi to our audiences in India. And so I have so many like beautiful memories, and I remember coming so often to the Bharat Pavilion. My father, way back then, going back 21 years, but even subsequently when I've been here to the festival so many times and been here, and I have so many memories and emotions attached, but I haven't been to the festival, to Cannes, in the last 12 years. 12 years later, I'm here, and what better way than to reach but to an officially selected film by the festival, to what I call the holy grail of world cinema. And I'm so grateful to everyone that got us here. I'm grateful to everyone working in Dharma Productions. I'm grateful to Melita, who has been such a beautiful co-producer and a journey that we shared together. We're very grateful to her because she's a large component for why we are here today. Because she had the vision, she knew the infrastructure, and she's really paved the way for us. And most of all, I'm so grateful to Neeraj Ghaywan. His beautiful storytelling is a result of our appearance here. So I really feel like what happened with Masan, and many years later, 10 years later, he's here back again, his second feature in 10 years. So that means two things. One, that we're very proud, and one, that we want more of Neeraj Ghaywan. We can't have a film every decade. We need much more. In the interim, we also, he directed a short film for us called Gili Puchi, which was again part of an anthology. And I'm very happy and very grateful to him. I can't wait for everyone to watch Homebound on the 21st. It's a film made with a deep amount of compassion, sensitivity, and care. It has a beautiful message of unity and diversity, and I think tells it in the most nuanced, sensitive manner. And all performances are absolutely wonderful and from the heart. And I think Neeraj has truly outdone himself. And I can't wait. I don't want to say it because it's our film, but I can't wait for everyone to discover their individual journey to Homebound.
Definitely. We'll talk about your contrasting journeys too. But Neeraj, as Karan mentioned about the film Homebound, why you guys are here for this special, very special film. Tell us a little bit more about Homebound.
Actually, there's a short story, an article that came out, and because of which we have. I mean, right now I can't mention about it, but essentially, the story that I wanted to say was about these two friends. Okay, and what I also feel is that more than 60% of our economy is agrarian, and we live in the villages. But sadly, in our Hindi films, we're not seeing villages anymore. We're only talking about urban films, or there's a gaze which is towards small town India. But where are we talking about stories from the heartlands? That was one of the motivators, and also that whenever we talk about films across the world, okay, say people of color, people of race, religion, creed, um, they're all spoken in numbers. They all are a part of a statistic. And when you say that, it's sort of like it's like you're trying to assuage your urban guilt. You feel that if you actually hiding your apathy by way of showing false sympathy. So I felt that what if we just pick up one person out of that statistic and see what happens in their lives and see how did they arrive at this point. That would make for some great story and would truly represent the kindness and the empathy that we all Indians have. That has been my intent so far. So I think it comes from that place for sure.
That is Homebound, a film from the Indian heartland, which is competing at the Cannes Film Festival in the unregard section. So finger crossed for it. It's 21st is the screening. Okay, now when Karan Johar and Neeraj Ghaywan are on the dais together, we have to mention about your very contrasting journeys both of you had. So your cinematic voices are very different. Karan with his glamorous, emotional sagas, and Neeraj with gritty, socially driven narratives. How do you see your works shaping the perception of Indian cinema globally when you guys have come together, both of you have come together and have come up with this beautiful film, Homebound, the film which represents both of your styles? So, how do you think that coming of you together really giving a new paradigm or new definition to kind of cinema which India is producing right now?
Can I take this, Karan, please? I would love to take this answer because, um, see, of course, the semantics of how it appears outside, the paradigm, as you mentioned. Before that, the reason to collaborate with Karan or Ishan and Janvi and Vishal, or to even Mr. Scorsese and Melita and a lot of host of people here, is that fundamentally these people have, all of them have empathy. They align with my value system, my belief system. And that was more important than anything for me. That's the reason why we both are working together. And we've been wanting to work with, and there is a mutual admiration between both of us for, I've been wanting to work with him for long, and he has been also. So I feel that has been there. But I feel this actually is sort of like quasi disruptive in a way, because you know, indie minded filmmakers, we were trying to find how to go about it. Like either we're doing co-productions or our government is giving funding, we're trying to do that. But there's also a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of things. But here, I if Karan produces a film like mine, you know, it is such a leveler, such a different thing that is happening. Because I feel, I mean, I'm sure you understand how it may pave way for different kinds of things to happen from henceforth. Because our perception is that, yeah, go to a co-production, make it happen. But I think we can still do it. Of course, co-production is amazing and they give you a lot of things, but like this is a new model, I feel, at least for me, who've been working for like whatever 10 years. I feel this is a new model and I feel amazed, and I felt so protected working with Dharma, because you just felt so safe doing this film with them, you know.
Karan, I think that's also the very deep love for cinema, which connects both of you. But still, what do you have to say about it?
Well,
Supporting
I
and
think we may
promoting.
come from two different schools of syntax where it comes to storytelling. But I think the one thing that lies in common between both our, I think, thinking and both our belief system is that we want to tell empathetic, sensitive human stories, and I think that is common to both our cinema. And it's got really nothing to do with the syntax. It's got more to do with the heart that the film offers. I think if you see, when you've seen Masan and you see Homebound post the 21st, you'll just realize that the interpersonal relationships, the handling of the emotional aspect of both movies, and the entire spectrum of emotion that they both cover. I think that is what always was attractive to me as a filmmaker, because that's what I try to do in my own way. Of course, my syntax is more theatrical, it's opulent, it's a little more on the nose. That's just the kind of filmmaking I love and the kind of films that I grew up watching. But even when I was in when I was 8 or 9 years old, while I loved the glory and glamour of Yash Chopra and the social drama with opulence of Raj Kapoor, I loved the empathy of Guru Dutt. I absolutely loved the deep rooted social messaging of Bimal Roy. Like, I have watched both with equal amount of abandon and equal amount of energy. I could enjoy the brilliance of Satyajit Ray and dance to like a song of Raj Kapoor's in the same day, in the same moment. It doesn't make my viewing multifaceted. It makes my head open to all kinds of cinema. The one important thing for me is, how do we take Indian cinema across the world, apart from also, of course, catering to our very loyal domestic audience, but how do we do our cinema proud? So every time we've had a cultural revolution with our films, be it recently with RRR, it happened before that, it happened before that, even with films made like with our, like when we had last year, we had Payal Kapadia shining with All We Imagine Is Light, and now I see her on the jury of Cannes. Makes my heart feel so full. It makes our collective chests beam with pride that we have this kind of representation, and it's happening. And very next year, after All We Imagine As Light, we have Homebound. That this just means that we really are on the global map. Our cinema is not just looked at as a song and dance filmmaking nation of cinema. We're also looked at films that can truly travel, stories that can travel across the world. Emotions are universal, no matter what culture, class, or country you come from. Feelings and emotions will always travel. And I think that I feel like every year we have to make sure that our films travel across the world. And these are just baby steps, but I know that we have a lot of ground to cover, and we will.
How? Because right now that you, as you mentioned, as you mentioned, we are on the jury, we are on the red carpet, we are in the theaters, we are in the competition section. So how do you see Indian cinema? The way we are reaching, we have a special sessions at the Bharat Pavilion, how we can push for more co-productions, for more collaborations. We have filmmakers from Brazil, from Spain coming at the Bharat Pavilion, and we are discussing how we can have more collaborations and co-productions when you talk about film and what, especially Indian film cinema. We want them to come and shoot in India, create in Bharat for the world. That's our mantra. What do you have to say about it? Recently, we had a very successful Wave Summit also.
Yes.
So tell us, how was the experience and getting that push? We're seeing more crossovers between mainstream and indie cinema filmmakers also. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I just think that everyone, I do believe that, that I think streaming, while cinema and theatrical audiences will have we've have combated the impact of streaming on the theatrical footfalls, and we have seen that. But what I think it's also done, what streaming has done, is brought the entire world of cinema together. I think everyone's consuming cinema from all across the world. The very first crossover that happened in India was that of the South and the North. It broadened our very proudly we used to say Bollywood and Tollywood, and give it all terminologies. We forget that we are one. Indian cinema is one. Why do we say North? Why do we say South? We should be proud when RRR walks the red carpet at the Academy Awards, just as proud as we should be for Homebound walking the red carpet at Cannes. Why do we slot our cinemas? That's the first thing we do. We start making our own divides. So we have to look at Indian cinema as a whole, and the fact that it is traveling. We had a Malayalam film last year at Cannes. All we imagine as light is a Malayalam film. And that has made it to festivals across the world, has walked the red carpets. We had a Telugu film that was so proudly presented across the world with Rajamouli's vision and won Academy Awards. And now we have a Hindi language film at Cannes. That just shows that Indian cinema is ready for the world. Is the world ready for us? That is the million-dollar question, which we want to ask the world. And they should be ready for us because we're worth it, just like L'Oreal.
Nice plug there.
Yes, we were that. Okay. So
I'm not an ambassador of L'Oreal, by the way. I did not get paid to say that. They should pay me for saying this.
now we can. Neeraj, that's what we are talking about. We talk about these crossovers of Indian mainstream cinema that I just mentioned. But with the very first film, you made history with Masan and Kim, and now you have come back to Khan again after 10 years. That he said we need more films from Neeraj. But how do you see the change for Indian cinema, for how they perceive now the Indian cinema, how they look at us, what they think about our story, our storytelling? What do you say?
I have two words: Payal Kapadia. Trust me, she is broken the glass ceiling. She has paved way for so many independent filmmakers to aspire for the biggest thing. I mean, she's changed the landscape of Indian cinema right now. I think we don't celebrate her enough. I mean, even now when she's actually at the jury, we don't see many people writing about her so much. And I feel that is a clear example of how many leaps and bounds have we moved on from what we were 10 years back. I mean, this is a moment of our time to shine in the world, and we are doing it.
As PM says, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. Karan, for you, you've been told you know what audience want. So do you think there's a change in audience preferences or maybe the impact of OTT platforms? How do you see those shifts right now whenever you go and make a plan or see a film that I want to make a film, I want to I want to tell a story. Do you think there's a change in perspective or in audiences' reactions or their choices?
What I find absolutely wonderful is that what has happened post. So there is was clearly a divide that has happened that was been pre-pandemic and post-pandemic in terms of footfalls, but even in terms of what people want from the cinema. And what I find very fascinating is that everyone is going back to their roots, even in their viewing choices. So if you notice, all the successes, theatrical blockbusters in the last few years have been very rooted films, be it a Stree, be it a Chhava, all of them, all these are no longer, we're not looking for stories that have forced modernity. They want to go back to our roots and tell quintessential Bharat ki kahaniyan. And I think that's what is, we've gone back to our roots in every which way. And I think this has been a sharp shift post pandemic. If you notice all the blockbusters, none of them have that kind of urban syntax that used to be enjoyed and revered and has all done very well. But right now, the rooted narrative, the true Bharat ki kahani, the true Indian stories, back to our heartland, back to our roots, our tradition, our culture, our mythology. It's all actually doing hugely well at the box office, while we are also platforming our stunning culture, our beautiful, vast, varied culture. We're also catering to an audience that wants that. And this is just not the family audience. Even the youth of India are patronizing these movies. And I think that has happened in the last 5 or 7 years. Now there used to be a time where even I was told that you make NRI films, whatever that meant, because I don't understand what that means at all. Because again, when they say you're making films for Indians, they could live anywhere in the world. It's just geography. Whether they live in Canada or the United Kingdom or North America or India itself, Indians are Indians across the world. Why should we call them NRI, non-NRI? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, we make movies for Indians and Asians across the world. But that syntax is no longer commercially as successful as rooted Indian narratives are. And I think that's something that filmmakers have to watch out. If you just look at it statistically and academically, that's what's going on. The moment we try and be something we're not, it's not going to work. If we go back to our roots, all those films will connect with vast audiences.
Neeraj, you have to say anything about it? Uh,
I mean, I just want to add that I think what I do see the difference is that I think lived reality is a thing. I think that's why today films are working more, because we are showcasing the lived reality of people, and it is not a sanitized version of what it could be. Or, I think that's the one big change that I see. Especially if you look down south, the way the films are so rooted, they have a lived reality to them, and that's why they're so relatable, and that's why they work so much.
But there's an evolution of storytelling after the emergence of OTT platforms, because the screen is getting really smaller. We're talking about content getting bigger, but do you think there's you have to find filmmakers have to find new ways to connect with the audiences and to create something new?
Actually, 100%. I mean, it actually democratizes the whole medium, because if you look at it, like in OTT space, when you like, I did Sacred Games 2, and I also did Made in Heaven. So here, what happens is that you get a really long time for a secondary character to develop that arc so further. Whereas in a film, you don't have the time to even establish a character. You're straight away getting into action, to the conflict, and you get to explore so many, not just the protagonist, but there's so many side characters that you can explore. And it is a form of storytelling which is like, it's slow burning, it takes its time, and you can relish with it, and it feels like a vast expanse, which in filmmaking we of course are a little limited. And of course the reach, the reach that it's going to, it is genuinely democratizing the way people are watching right now, and hence shaping narratives also.
We're talking about creators economy right now. Karan, you have launched so many talents. Neeraj, you have mentored so many writers' voices through your writers' room. What do you have to say about the emergence of creators economy? We're not talking about only cinema. We're talking about all the aspects of entertainment. And you being a mentor, we can expect that being a mentor, being a filmmaker, you can talk about other aspects of also filmmaking, about animation, about GFX, a lot of other technological aspect which India is right now gearing up to tell people, tell the world that come work with us. We are ready to give everything you want. We have all the latest studios, we have the storytellers, we have the technology to make it big at the world. So you have to say about the creators economy which is emerging right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have some of the most incredible talent in our country, and I think the world is waking up to that. Whether it's cinematographers, editors, all forms of technicians. Even, in fact, you'll be surprised how many people are sending their VFX work to India. It just doesn't get said enough. We have some of the best VFX minds, and now with AI coming in, and some of the most strong technology-based minds are all coming out of India. The narrative of India needs to be put out there. Like our honorable Prime Minister has said that we're an incredible soft power. But more than that, we're also are an incredible resource machinery, that can contribute to the cinema of the world, and which we are doing. If you see any credit on anything made, any piece of work, content internationally, you will find a huge amount of Indians and Asians on that list. But somehow, I don't think that the world media, I think, gives us enough credit, and I think it's time that they do, because we have incredible minds doing incredible work. And I think we have to start. I remember my dad once told me, that, oh, when I said, Papa, you can't blow your own trumpet. And he said, it's your trumpet. If you're not going to blow it, who else will? So I think we as Indians and Asians have to start blowing our own trumpet and say, look, our guys are doing incredibly well. Write about it, talk about it, own it. If you're not going to own it, nobody else will. So I think we have to just say it, because I think we have to break some myths, shatter some stereotypes that come with our cinema. And we're doing it as we speak, and the proof lies in the pudding. But someone's got to talk about that pudding. And I think I'm glad that we are here at festivals such as the Cannes Film Festival, at the Bharat Pavilion, where we can blow our own trumpet.
Definitely. Can we have just 2 questions of rapid fire with Karan Johar is here?
Hey Bhagwan, ये rapid fire कब मुझे छोड़ेगा?
So, your favorite moment at Cannes?
Is yet to happen on the 21st.
Okay. Neeraj, yours? You're in the same company.
I am your rapid, I'll be the fire.
Any your favorite moment at Cannes Film Festival?
You have to come, no?
There's a lunch where I'll get to meet my favorite directors, the Dardenne brothers. I hope so.
Okay. One Indian classic you like to screen at the Cannes Film Festival?
Kaagaz Ke Phool and Pyasa.
Wow, beautiful. One word to describe each other's filmmaking.
What do I describe his film? Soulful.
Neeraj?
Emotional and heartwarming.
That's very nice. Just not a rapid fire, just a last question. Cannes is also about fashion. So, wow. How do you describe this style of yours and this cinema and elegance and this fashion? Karan, tell us about this.
I'll say 3 words to describe my fashion. It's called midlife crisis. That's what I'm very proudly going through, and I'm owning it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining at the Cannes Film Festival at Bharat Pavilion. And I would like to also call Shilpa Rao, director, to facilitate and for the group photograph. Shilpa Rao is with us? Yes. She's director of films, information and broadcasting of ministry. That's invitation for the 56th edition of International Film Festival of India. Yeah. The biggest celebration of world cinema and Indian cinema, right in Goa. Leena ma'am can also join. Yes.